The battlefield in Ukraine has been the hottest spot on the planet for 3 consecutive years now. Ukrainians and Russians are constantly trying to outsmart each other in finding new military strategies. You've all seen how Ukrainian FPV drones blow the turrets off tanks and turn them into heaps of scrap metal, while the Russians have been trying to advance with their unusual turtle tanks, delivering infantry further under their armored shells than any APCs ever could. But as you can see in this video, the Ukrainians have found a way to deal with that too. Today we'll talk about the Russians' unconventional strategy, where they use rather unusual machines to break through Ukrainian defenses and cities. Check out this video. This unusual weapon, called the UR-77, has taken its position. The Russians use it to demolish cities before sending in their infantry to clear it out. But originally it wasn't designed for this purpose, and using it in urban areas causes massive, inhumane destruction. The Russians managed to fire the UR-77 before the Ukrainians even noticed the launch. Just look at the extensive damage it causes. Even though the Ukrainians couldn't stop the attack, they did spot the machine with a drone, relayed the coordinates to Himars, and took it out. The sheer power of the explosion shows just how destructive this machine's charges are. This Russian T-72 tank is attacking Ukrainian positions in the Kharkiv region. Just look at how resilient the Ukrainians are holding their defense. Shells are literally exploding 10 feet away from their positions. Not a lot of people can withstand such a barrage. The Russians have tried to break through this place before. The Ukrainians deploy a surveillance drone to identify who's firing at them. The tank is spotted and the drone follows it. Members of the 47th Brigade launch an FPV drone with a modernized munition into the air. The tank crew notices the drone and tries to evade it, but the fate of this tank is already sealed. Just take a look at how it explodes apart. The breakthrough in this area won't happen. This Russian T-72 tank is rushing in for reinforcement. The Ukrainians spot it and launch a homemade drone armed with an anti-tank projectile. The drone hits right into the engine compartment. The tank crew, realizing more trouble is on the way, jump out of the moving tank. Take a look at its turret. The anti-drone electronic warfare system in the grill couldn't save this tank. Meanwhile, the FPV drone is already up in the air, guided by the operator, aiming at the weak spot beneath the turret. The fleeing crew of this tank is relieved not to become part of that fireworks show. And there's the pride of Russia, the T-90 super tank, abandoned by its crew after hitting a mine. Check out how many antennas and mesh screens to fend off drones it has. But all that defense won't help it. See how this Russian pride, the $4 million T-90 tank, gets torn to pieces by a $500 drone. The Russians came up with an interesting solution to deal with FPV drones, creating what they call turtle tanks. It might seem like an odd choice of armament at first, but hold your judgment. With most of their IFVs like BMP and MTLB vehicles destroyed, Russia had to come up with a unique solution to transport troops, and it worked. You've probably seen the video where a tank covered in thick metal sheets safely delivered infantry where regular armored vehicles would have been destroyed. The Russians realized it was a great solution for troop transport and protection against weak FPV drones, and started improving the design. Take a look at this turtle. This T-72 moves across open fields which are typically mined. To protect the tank's undercarriage, they've attached a minesweeper. In this video, you can see a tank equipped with one of these minesweepers. It's also armored with metal sheets and an additional grille made of rebar. Combined with the minesweeper, it significantly increases its weight. The engine is pushed to its limit. You might notice, besides the minesweeper, an electromagnetic device is attached to the tank. It generates a magnetic field in front of the tank, triggering mine explosions 10 to 12 feet away. This turtle successfully delivered troops to positions 4 times, but not this time. Here you can see real footage of this tank moving across the field packed with Ukrainian mines. Here, the turtle rolls over several mines. Look at those powerful explosions, metal fragments flying in all directions. The vehicle is immobilized. The driver abandons the tank and flees, and what's left of the tank will likely be destroyed. The Ukrainians aren't wasting any time either. They've upgraded their FPV with an even deadlier projectile that can crack open these turtles like walnuts.